Pandaria time running is coming. Soon. Hi, it's Llarold, and I'm going to talk about WoW Remix, aka Timerunning Pandaria, aka, I don't know, some other names that they've come up with for this, but first, don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, so let's just cover some of the basic info. This is MoP Remix, aka WoW Remix, aka Pandaria Time Running, and it is a temporary event that will start on May 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. This is a global release event, so it will be available to everyone in the world at that time. If you're in Australia or Europe or Antarctica, you'll be able to log in and play it that morning. The end date, according to the War Within Alpha calendar, is August 19th, so it will last about 3 months. I think the shortest explanation I can give for this is that it is something like a combination of Blizzard's attempt to make seasonal Diablo-style content in a game like WoW, and also just a modern version of Season of Discovery. I think on both fronts that it is pretty successful. Now here's what it isn't. It isn't MoP Classic. It isn't MoP Classic. It isn't MoP Classic. Hey Llarold, is it MoP Classic? No, it is not MoP Classic. Alright, so now that we've all agreed that it's not MoP Classic, what actually is it? It is an accelerated leveling event that takes place exclusively in Mists of Pandaria content, but it lets you play WoW Dragonflight characters. Once you make a character, you start out at level 10. You are able to dragon ride right from the start, and you start out with 36 slot bags. And what you basically do is just play the game. You can complete quests, run scenarios and dungeons, and even do raids while leveling up. This part of the gameplay is all very heavily influenced by Season of Discovery. My channel manager and I did play through the event when there was a weekend PTR test. We did a lot of scenarios, we did some dungeons, we even did some LFR Mogashan vaults, and I think it was all pretty cool. I definitely really liked the ability to level in raids. I thought that was very, very fun and interesting, and probably something that should be, as a result of this experiment, moved over into retail WoW. Now Blizzard's also trying some very interesting things when it comes to player power in this game mode. As part of the intro quest line, you get an artifact cloak. It passively upgrades as you kill enemies, complete quests, run dungeons, and just kind of do regular WoW stuff. It also gains more stats and increases the amount of XP that you gain from all sources. That buff also transfers over to all of the other characters on your account in this game mode, so your alts will level even faster than your first character. There's also the gem system. To very, very heavily simplify it down, as you play the game, you unlock lots of powerful gems that you can socket into your gear. Now, some of these are good old classic stat gems, nice and boring. Some will give you damage procs, that's also good. Stat procs, that can be a little boring, but also fine. Others will allow you to use class abilities even if they're not part of your class, such as being able to cast Roll on a Blood DK or Life Grip on a Windwalker Monk. And then finally, there are meta gems that basically work a lot like ultimate abilities from MOBAs. They're big, multi-minute cooldowns that deal tons of damage all at once or provide huge bursts of group healing. Now there's also the question of rewards, currency, and professions, the kind of typical MMO stuff you would think about in playing a game like WoW. Professions, for one, aren't in this game mode at all, so that answers that. But the rewards are also completely redesigned. Basically everything you do in the game gives you a reward bag. What's in the bag? Stuff. Maybe it's a gear upgrade, maybe it's potions, maybe it's buff scrolls, who knows, but there's always some kind of reward to be gotten for everything that you do. And finally, currency is completely different. Gold exists, but it is functionally worthless. You don't need to repair, and there's really no use for gold in time running anyways. Instead, you use bronze, the main currency of the game, to upgrade gear and buy items from vendors. You get bronze basically from everything you do, and you are given a little wormhole that you can use to break down gear you no longer have a use for, and convert that into bronze as well. So, what do you actually do? What content is there in Timerunning Pandaria? I would say there's 4 main things. There's questing, good old WoW questing. There are daily quests, but there are no world quests in Pandaria. That wasn't invented until Legion. You will be able to level in all of the normal Pandaria zones, but you can also level on the Timeless Isle, the Isle of Giants, and the Isle of Storms, so that is a bit of a change of pace from the normal Pandaria leveling experience. There's also scenarios. These are instanced 3-player content. They're kind of like a miniature dungeon, but with scripted events and a short story told throughout. And they're not just as simple as like kill all the guys and then kill the boss. Sometimes you need to go grab the barrels of ale and roll them back to, to the ale barrel storage facility. They're not freeform like Island Expeditions, Torghast, or any of the other content that came later along the line and was heavily influenced by MoP scenarios, though. They are very structured. They are tuned to be done without tanks or healers, but playing a tank or a healer in one of these can work just fine. There are 16 different scenarios. I went and looked it up, and it is definitely a lot more than I remembered, and some of them are a lot worse than I remembered as well. There are also 9 dungeons. These all come in 2 difficulties, normal and heroic. There is no mythic, there is no mythic plus. As far as I know, there is no challenge mode dungeons either. And unlike Dragonflight, that means that dungeons are not intended to be a parallel or equivalent piece of in-game content to raiding. There are achievements and reasons to do all of the dungeons on both normal and heroic, and the reward for killing bosses and looting them is, just like with questing and everything else in Timerunning Pandaria, loot bags, but not specific drops from dungeons, at least not in our experience of testing. Finally, there's raiding. Raids in Pandaria Timerunning exist in 3 difficulties, LFR, normal, and heroic, and they will work very similarly to how those do in Dragonflight, in terms of scalable difficulty, scalable size, but all the normal rules apply. You need 2 tanks, some number of healers and DPS, and then you kill the bosses and you get stuff, except instead of drops, you get bags. LFR is something you can queue into and kind of use to level up, whereas normal and heroic require actually putting together groups using the group finder. Now, as I said, there is a reason to do all of this content, and the reason is that you unlock rings in Pandaria Timerunning by completing all of the dungeons and all of the scenarios on heroic difficulty. You unlock a necklace by completing all of the raids on normal, and you unlock trinkets by reaching level 70 and completing a lot of quest lines. These armor pieces aren't available other than by doing those achievements, and they all have 3 sockets each with no other stats on them. So they are a way to confer a lot more player power and kind of create a progression system where you play through all the heroic scenarios, you get stronger, you play through all the heroic dungeons, you get stronger, you reach level 70, you get stronger, you complete all the normal raids, you get stronger. So what happens after the event ends? When it ends, your characters will all convert into normal WoW characters. As for what happens with the gear, we don't know. But as I've said from the very beginning, this is an accelerated leveling concept, so the idea here is that you can level up a second character or something you like if you really want. That's probably what I'll do, but I think for a lot of people, this is a chance to play something completely different. Never played a Shadow Priest before? Use this as a way to very quickly level up and get experienced with playing a Shadow Priest, figure out how it works, and then once the event ends, boom, now you have a max level Shadow Priest with some kind of gear ready to go into the next expansion. Kinda cool. Alright, now for the final question here. Why play this if you don't care about leveling another character? That's kind of the boat I'm in. Why play this if you're me, Llarold? And the reason is actually pretty simple. There is tons and tons of stuff to collect. There are mounts, pets, achievements, and transmogs, as well as tons of stuff that has never been available before. Stuff that's been data mined since all the way back in Mists of Pandaria, reskins of items, color palettes, color swaps that just never were available to players that are available in MoP Timerunning. There are also some class-themed transmog sets and weapon appearances that are similar to things that have been put on the trading post, but different, that will be available through this game mode as well. There are also vendors in every single zone that sell hard-to-get collectibles, like the mounts from Galleon and Shaw of Anger, and you can buy those with bronze. So even if you're not interested in leveling a new character, there is some fun to be had here playing around with different powers, and there is a lot of fun stuff to collect that will transfer over into retail WoW and be a part of your account permanently. So there's a good justification to experience this game mode, even if leveling a character isn't really something that entices you at all. Because of that, I think this is a really smart idea for the end of an expansion leveling catch-up mechanic. I still think Blizzard should probably put in a basic XP bonus for all the people who would prefer to just level in regular WoW, but this is definitely a lot more fun than blasting through Gorgrond for the billionth time. Alright, that's it. I can't wait for this to launch in just a couple of days. Thanks for watching. Bye.